Hey friends, welcome to a piece of my journey that, I try my best to talk about it, but I end up not doing such a great job. But I am talking about it now, and it is all about my orthopedic journey. My people, happy March. We are nearing the end of the first quarter of this year as a whole, and that is crazy to even just wrap my mind around just because we literally started the year. I told y'all last week in my February recap, just kind of debriefing this new season of life for me. Like January, it goes by so slow. Very slow. And then you come to February, and as far as time is concerned, there is no mercy shown. But anyways, getting into something I am very genuinely, severely passionate about, and that is my orthopedic journey as a whole. I really don't talk about it as much as I used to or even would like to now. I will say I do bring it up at least once a year, and that is the anniversary of my spinal fusion, which I refer to as my spiniversary, but that's about it where I really share more in depth unless something's happening or going on that's kind of like a detour in the recovery process. I have shared my experience and what I've learned along the way, and I've put it out in vlogs or in YouTube shorts and that sort of thing. I will say, based on what I have seen in recent weeks and months, like there is a relatively strong scoliosis community on TikTok, but YouTube is really missing it big time, at least based on what I have seen or the lack thereof. So that's why I'm more so geared towards posting my scoliosis journey here on YouTube. I was a lot more vocal with my journey last spiniversary just because something actually did come up in my most recent post-op appointment, which we will get into all of that. But I have to take time to stop and reflect on the fact that this year will be 7 years since my spinal fusion, and it feels like yesterday, but also a lifetime ago at the same time. Summer 2025, though, last year was a blur and a blast all at the same time. So backtracking to last year, my 6-year post-op appointment, we rediscovered that my left leg is shorter than my right one by I think 1.4 centimeter, something like that. And before spinal fusion, we knew this. It was brought to our attention. My hip alignment was even worse than, before surgery, of course. But at the time, fixing that wasn't a focus. The main focus was just correcting the spine, fixing the curve and all that stuff. So I proceeded with surgery on June 18th, 2019. I was in physical therapy after surgery, in initial recovery in the hospital before leaving and going home. And then maybe a couple years down the line, I went to physical therapy and actually did a couple sessions to just kind of gain strength back afterwards. And that time was definitely brutal for me, mentally and emotionally, not just physically, because I don't think I realized how much strength I lost from surgery until going to therapy. So I had never been used to feeling and being that weak. I got through physical therapy, and since then I have just been, I guess, living in this forever version now of normal as a person with bolts and rods and screws and all that fun stuff in the spine. But December 2024 coming into 2025, I experienced a lot of leg pain. Honestly, unmatched. It was rough, and it also affected my lower back as well. But having those issues six and a half years later, roughly, with the length difference, it never clicked that it was because of my left leg being shorter. And so that's why when I say 6-year post-op appointment is when we rediscovered this, it genuinely was a rediscovery because my parents and I, we forgot. Because my doctor told us that the first time, and then he was like, but I'm just focusing, like I said, on the curve and everything and trying to get that fixed and taken care of. And then, I had physical therapy and was doing relatively fine. And then this pain came up, and it just definitely did not cross our minds. When it came down to the treatment options for this situation now, my doctor was like, okay, you can do physical therapy. And for me, it was like, I really don't want to do physical therapy just because it was a lot. I feel like your self-awareness is definitely heightened because I'm not where I need to be and I really want to be there. Wish I didn't have to do all this so I could be where I want to be. But yeah, so I think physical therapy was something I was kind of resisting for that reason. Then the next option that was brought up was a shoe lift insert to place in my left shoe to wear daily. And the journey to even getting the shoe lift was just, it was a crazy process, like insurance and referrals and prescriptions and documents and nurses trying to send my information over to different offices just to get this little tiny rubber thing to put in my shoe. It was crazy. After a while, I was like, okay, like how many more people do we have to contact in order to get an answer, and get what we're looking for? So eventually I did get my shoe lift. I actually ended up getting two. And at first they told me that it would be a lot harder to wear with heels, but I've been putting them in my heels and walking in it just fine with the heels and everything, especially like on Sundays, like for church and also like formal events and different things like that. So I have been able to wear it in my heels, which has been honestly amazing and fantastic. For those of you who have been along this journey with me, at least in the recent year, then you know that first week of adjusting to that new shoe lift was brutal because the pain I had was probably worse. It was worse than the original pain I had already been feeling all this time. And I think it was just because my body was starting to even out and my body was not used to being balanced like that. But eventually, as time went on, it did get better to the point where I even forgot it was there. Sometimes depending on which shoes I wear, like I can tell that I'm wearing it, and other times I can't, especially if I'm wearing like heels or something like that. Like I can tell I'm more conscious of it because I'm trying to make sure it's not slipping out the side. But if I'm wearing tennis shoes, like closed toe shoes, then I'm good. Like I don't worry about it. And it has been 8 months with the shoe lift in, and it has made a huge difference for me. I have felt great, like much better from August to now. So it has been a big blessing to have a more chill winter season with pain and weather, because if you go back to holiday and winter season, especially on my channel, I was involved in so many different things, like especially near Christmas time with everything and just with church and all that and parties and holiday stuff, and then college, final exams, and then family and travel. Like I really wouldn't have been able to function as well as I did at my highest capacity. From time to time, I do still have like back pain on very strenuous, hardworking days, or like I said, when it's cold and rainy, but it has not been as bad as it was before, and that is really good. Problem that I face now is more so external than internal, and what it is called is suture granuloma. So it's on the skin, and it's not exactly a keloid. I have had bad back acne since surgery, and honestly, they didn't tell me like that would be a thing that would occur, but I came to realize that with experience and research. But what's been occurring the most is really suture granuloma, which I am no doctor, but this is what I am sharing based on my experience with this. Basically, it's a small bump right where a stitch was, and these can appear months to even several years after the operation. And it's caused by your body reacting to leftover suture material. And it feels like a small bead under the skin when you touch it. Sometimes it can be very itchy and painful. Ugh, definitely for me, because of how the skin is trying to get rid of this dissolved stitch that never completely absorbed into the skin, causing like a small opening in the skin. So I do deal with that from time to time, and I have been trying to keep up with it, my skin routine as well, which I have been doing pretty good this year so far, more than any other year. My nervous system, it is still healing. It takes the longest to heal just because the nerves, the cells and tissues and all that were affected when my spine was curved and then having the surgery and being cut open and all that. So there are still times when I randomly jerk just because I have a weird twitchy feeling, or sometimes like something feels weird on my back, whether if it's hair sometimes or rubbing up on something, just things like that. So yes, I have recovered and I am still recovering. This literally is a journey because a journey is ongoing. It's a continuation of a significant period of time. I don't really know when I'll be completely normal. But I mean, now being where I am, it's so much better than where I was comparing to the early beginning stages of recovery. And I'm very, very grateful. Honestly, I don't really like using the word normal just because this journey is so not normal, including life after a surgery like this. To those dealing with scoliosis or you're about to embark upon spinal fusion as a treatment option, I would be more than happy to answer any questions that I possibly can to be a source of information and comfort, because this is it can be a very nerve-wracking process to undergo in more ways than people even realize. It's not just physical, but it also messes with you emotionally and mentally. And so that's why I wanted to share these pieces and parts of my journey and where I'm at nearly almost a decade later, just about almost there. But more than just the diagnosis and the symptoms and the initial recovery, but also what happens years later. I know for me, like, I don't have a reference point in this journey because nobody in my immediate or like extended family has really dealt with this. And so once people get past that initial first year of recovery, that's when we really don't hear anything else. And having and hearing personal experiences, at least for me, is helpful sometimes. For me, it's not necessarily about physical comparison, but more of like just this emotional and mental security of knowing that I'm not alone. I absolutely love and adore my family. They are amazing. They have just been so great and supportive through this entire journey from beginning to now in various ways, but none of them truly have experienced what I have. And so it's different talking to people out of comfort, but talking to people also out of experience too. It's two completely different things. So that is my complete overview of more like the last half of 2025 coming into 2026 and my orthopedic journey in recovery from a spinal fusion at the age of 12. To those who have been a part of my life since that time, thank you so much. That's a long time to be stuck with me, but I mean, that just means your support and love runs deep, and I appreciate it so much. Thank you guys so much for watching and stopping by to learn just a little bit more about a journey that is honestly one of the greatest and strongest parts of me. I love you guys so much, and I will be back with y'all next week.